Hello and welcome back to Apologetics for Everyone. Once again, my name is Josh Teagarden, and this is my senior project. So, we're talking about the problem of evil. And so when we talk about the problem of evil, there's a couple key words we need to know. Defense and theodicy. And so we're going to go over a couple of those today, and then in the next video we'll talk about a different theodicy. So let's talk about the free will defense. So the free will defense was made popular by Alvin Plantinga. And so what this does is it's a defense against the logical argument, which we talked about in the video prior. But I'm just going to refresh your memory. The logical argument is that if God is all good, he would want to destroy evil. If God was all knowing, he would know how to destroy evil. And if God was all powerful, he would destroy evil. And since evil exists, God cannot exist. And the issue with this is, once again, that it is a argument of necessity. That if evil, that God cannot exist if evil exists. And this argument has almost been completely refuted by the free will defense. And the free will defense goes like this. Say God created free beings, free moral beings, you and me as people. And if we are truly free, then we have the choice to do moral good and moral evil. In fact, God cannot create us free and have us not be able to do moral evil, because then we wouldn't be free. And in fact, if there was no moral evil, then we wouldn't have any idea of what moral good is, because we can only see the good, and that would just be normal. And so if God truly created free beings, and we have the option to create or do moral evil or moral good, then it is a possibility that God exists and evil exists, and they coexist together because of that. And so that argument almost completely refuted the logical argument. Now, there are some scholars, some philosophers that still argue from this, but most of them are dipping into the evidential problem of evil now instead of the logical. And so, once again, it was Alvin Plantinga and his free will defense. And to go along with the free will defense, we will see a free process defense, because the free will defense does not account for natural evil. And what do I mean by natural evil? Natural evil is evil not done by a moral being, which is humans, angels, demons. And so this is your tornadoes, your hurricanes, your earthquakes, all these things. And so when we look at the free process defense, we see that, and this has been proven, okay? The terms used in the paper that I read are non-linear dissipative dynamical systems. Pretty much what that means is they are inconsistent systems that are constantly changing in our world. Main example is weather and climate. But then we also have electromagnetic pathways in our brain, and you know, the way that our heart beats and electromagnetic pulses through our heart and stuff like that, that would, if they weren't dynamic and one part of the heart was damaged, then the whole body would die, because there would only be that one passage. But since the body is dynamic and we do have that dynamical system, it is able to create a different route to do that. Now, I am not a scholar on this, once again. But pretty much what it's saying is this. And I'm going to use the same example that Deweese used in his article. Say that there are a bunch of people in a room balancing brooms on their hand. And so at first it's nice and easy and you're not shaking because your arm is strong and comfortable. But you're all in the room together. And then wind starts blowing and somebody gets knocked off balance and now they're kind of moving and their broom falls over and knocks somebody else's broom over. And so what's happening is these processes are coming out of equilibrium, out of the state in which God created them in, and these bad things are happening. This natural evil is happening. Now, the free process defense covers that, and it goes along with the free will defense. But now we have to look at the word theodicy. Theodicy is the attempt to justify God while evil and suffering and pain exist in the world. And it derives from two Greek words, theos and dikaiosune. Dikaiosune means righteousness or justice, and theos means God. So to justify God. And then we see the free will theodicy, or the Augustinian theodicy, which attempts to cover both moral and natural evil based on the fact that Adam and Eve sinned. And that threw the world out of equilibrium. So that is when sin and death and all these things entered the world, both morally and naturally. And so many young earth believers, so they believe the earth is 2,000 something years old or 6,000 years old or whatever it is now, believe in this because death didn't start until then. But that is widely debated and rarely seen as the reason why natural evil happens. And so the free will defense and the free will theodicy are very different, but also the same, saying that God created moral beings and moral evil comes from us. And the free process defense said that God created a world with dynamical systems, and that sometimes those systems can come out of equilibrium, which then causes natural evil. And with the Augustinian is that the sin in the garden is what causes natural evil. Thank you once again. My name is Josh Teagarden, and this is Apologetics for Everyone.